Boom. Salutations. Quickly, something I want to just elaborate on again is confirmations that I've gotten in my personal contact experiences that are being verified by science now. And a big one is fungus, mushrooms, and mycelium. I've been talking about that since I first came forward in 2014, and a lot longer than that if you're somebody that actually knows me personally. So something I wanted to say about that, as far as that being backed up scientifically in our current science that I've mentioned before, is that not just is mycelium and mushrooms starting being to be used for as infrastructures of buildings and bridges and roads. It's also now got NASA talking about making habitations, space habitations, and also terraforming with mycelium and mushrooms, and making mushrooms type of housings and things of that nature. Now, taking that and combining that with what I've been saying about fungus from the beginning, which was that there's a component and how ships are actually constructed. I've talked about before with these metamaterials that are mined from planets that are devoid of Van Allen belts and atmospheres in some circumstances. All right, a quasi-crystal type of compound, a fungal compound that is like this type of a mushroom fungus compound. I've talked about that a lot. And then also DNA with the crew and how this compound is grown over Mako in space. All right, so that's something I've talked about a lot. Now this is starting to be verified by our science. And there's a few people that I've heard talk about this before, and I'm sorry, but they weren't contactees, all right? I was the first one to start talking about this and bringing this to the light. And I want just that to be known, because I think everyone that we see that are talking, we're all different experiencers. Some can bring things to light. Some of us get other information from our encounters. That is one for me, all right? It's that this fungal component, this mushroom type of a component to some of these craft, and how that's a part of their sentient awareness and a symbiosis they contain also with the earth and with the crew. This is very, very important. I think it's where our science is going for space exploration, truly, outside of what we hear about some of the other SSP stuff. But I mean, as far as what science is doing, I also want to combine that with another video I've done over Fermi bubbles and the gamma ray radiation emitted from them, and how that's almost a galactic network of types that's very usable for an advanced civilization that could send radiotropic fungus here that does what? It eats gamma radiation and converts it to the growth cycle. And that may have been sent here from a type 4 or type 5 melanin dominant civilization to help us deal with the radiation cleanup. But how the Fermi bubbles and Alcubierre warp drive, if I'm pronouncing that guy's name right, can actually be used to send some of those seeds and spores here in a transport way, as they're immune to interstellar solar radiation. The only people I heard talking about that was Rupert Sheldrake and also Terrence McKenna. They talked about how those spores were impervious to solar radiation, so they knew about it. But outside of that, I've not heard a lot of experiencers or contactees talk about it. And I think this needs to be really pushed forward. Some of those people that are trying to put hardware in space and everything, that's the way our science needs to go, is the living organisms, actually, that type of a system. They're also talking about using mushrooms for terraforming, like the Genesis Project on Star Trek. So these are things you can look up for yourself, as well as how mycelium is being tested for to be sentient now. It doesn't have intelligence. These are things that are important. You know, there's different ways to judge intelligence than just humanoid. So that's something there. Quickly, we're dealing with solar extremophiles that can actually be immune to solar radiation. That's important, all right, as well as what I've said about the ships, and that's where our science is going, seeing how they're coming together. So that goes beyond me just talking, but it supports what I'm saying as far as what I've seen when these stuff happened to me years and years ago. So I think it's important, validation-wise, and also supporting it scientifically. Thank you for all the people on Patreon that have supported me coming this far. Please put a like on this. Please subscribe. I would say appreciation to all the people on YouTube that have been so supportive and helped me come this far. So much blessings to everybody and peace.